And joining us now to discuss all of the developments inside of Gaza is Dr. Eyal Pinko, an intelligence, cyber, and security expert. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
First, let's talk about the new reporting that's coming out about basically how all of these countries, the United States, Israel, Qatar, and Egypt, right now are all waiting for Hamas to respond to the latest ceasefire hostage deal on the table. Still no response from them yet. 1 week has passed. What does this say about the terror group?
Yeah, I think there are two issues regarding that. The first one, from the negotiation point of view, the strategy behind it is to strengthening the time. Once you take the time and everybody's waiting for you, you have the power. So this is one of the negotiation strategy of Hamas. We saw that in the last 2 years, almost 2 years, that this is part of the strategy. This is one aspect. The other aspect, that Hamas is really being divided. It's being divided into 5 big families, Hamulas, as they call it, that they are fighting in between each other. And there are many arguments, and they are not really one unified organization. So this is also part of the deal, of the issue, that they are fighting with each other. There is no one unified leadership saying this and that, what is Hamas' idea or how to move it forward.
Right, you mentioned power. Does this suggest the terror group Hamas has way more control than what people actually think? Think about it. We have 4 countries that are waiting for this terror group that runs this small enclave inside of Gaza for an answer. How much control do they really have here?
We see that over the negotiation, they have the full power. Because if you see the Israeli TV, the Israeli public opinion to go into the negotiation, to push it forward, Hamas understands that time is beside them. They understand that time is their strength. And while, everybody's praying for Hamas, the Israeli negotiation team give them more and more things that they want to have. So they understand that time is bring pressure on the Israeli public opinion. The people are going to the streets. The media is also encouraging that. So they are winning. The patience play. They are winning. I'm saying that in a very sad way. They are winning this for now.
Right, but I think what's interesting coming out of this week's news already, and it's, so we're still early on in the week, is the fact that the IDF is starting a brand new ground offensive in Deir al-Balah. Do you think that this ground offensive that's expanding into the city, to our viewers, this is the first time Israeli troops are on the ground inside of this stronghold Hamas city. Do you think that this is an effort to make Hamas, finally accept an agreement here?
Yeah. We saw that in the last, let's say, few months, every time that there is a real operation, boots on the ground, that is sustainable, which means that the IDF troops are over there, they're not going in and out. It brings solutions, it brings the outcome of it. It's a good one. We saw that in the last 3 or 4 months, 6 hostages were released or found, some of them, the bodies, sadly say. So we see that the Israeli military boots on the ground, sustainable efforts are really good, and they are working. So I do hope that the military forces will be there, will stay there, and will not go out. And this, I do believe it will bring the results.
I want to ask you about the concern the families of some of the hostages have now that these operations are happening in Deir al-Balah. Earlier on in the war, there were reports saying that the military wouldn't operate inside of that city in fear that there are hostages there. What's your take on this? How can the IDF make sure that they are preserving these hostages' lives that are still in captivity at this point in time?
Yeah. If there are people in captivity over there, I do believe that the IDF cannot do really, I will say, safety measure in order to see that all the 20 hostages that are still alive will remain alive. Maybe it's a hard sentence to say, but the IDF cannot be assured or control the situation about their lives. So I believe that the hostages' family, that the one that are alive, concerns are really true, are really sustainable. And it's a problem. It's a problem because, in one hand, you want to make real military pressure in order to ensure that Hamas will go back to the table, bring the expected results that we want him to bring. On the other hand, that these 20 guys' lives are still in a risk,
Yeah,
huge risk.
it's horrible and it's beyond complicated.
It's horrible dilemma.
Yeah, and you just feel for these families who have waited almost 2 years at this point just to see their loved ones come back home. Moving on, I want to ask you specifically about these new IDF strikes on the Houthi infrastructure inside of Yemen this morning. Israel struck this territory about 3 times now. Why do they keep targeting the Houthis, specifically this port? How strong are the Houthis still?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is like we spoke about the boots on the ground. The Israeli strikes mainly, as you said, are in Hudaydah port, in this region, striking a part of the Houthis' infrastructure for fuel, military assets, naval assets, and all. Unfortunately, from military aspects, these are very nice attacks, but this in the micro tactical point of view, but in the strategic level, it's bring nothing. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, they fought with the Houthis 8 long years. 8 years they suffered from the Houthi attacks. The Houthi didn't surrender. And because, if we want to learn the lessons from that, this is because there were no really boots on the ground actions. And the Houthis are being spread all over 30% of Yemen territory. They're a very strong organization, around 150,000 combat soldiers. Some Europeans said that 150, some of them are saying 200,000. This is sustainable military force, which still gets its ammunition, rockets, missiles, drones from Iran, but most of that supply is coming from Oman by land. And nobody will attack Oman because this is a very strategic place for the Americans. So we are attacking the seaports, but most of the supplies doesn't come from the port.
Dr. Eyal Pinko, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your perspective today.
Thank you.